About sharks.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to talk about how we have like this stigma and fear of sharks.
Goes back to irrational fears.
Yeah, but it's like this one I consider incredibly irrational, and it's just weird because like it's like the media really pushes that sharks are scary.
Yeah.
There's lots of movies on shark attacks. There's lots of there's like Shark Week on Discovery Channel. You hear about this all the time. Like on Shark Week, they like rank the deadliest sharks ever. They're like, oh, this shark is super deadly
Yeah.
and all this stuff. But like the funny thing is, I watched that, the deadliest sharks, and like the first three had 0 kills.
They've never killed anything.
Yes,
That's pretty deadly.
nothing.
That's pretty
So
deadly,
like
man.
it was like hammerheads and something else. Hammerheads, there was 13 attacks recorded, like ever, and that was like number 8 on their deadliest sharks, and no one died because like hammerheads, like if you know anything about sharks, hammerheads, their mouths aren't big enough, so they would just take a big chunk out of you. That would hurt. It would obviously hurt a lot and could cripple you, but like it's not really enough to kill you unless you're like completely by yourself and you bleed out.
My main question is, do you think the media really has a big or a main motive for pushing sharks to be these big scary creatures that everyone should run away from?
I kind of like. I guess I could kind of explain why they could have a reason, but
If
it's
it's
a bit
just
conspiracy theory-ish.
if it's just an idea, you can just throw it out there and see
Okay.
what happens.
I might as well. Well, anyway, it's no like mystery that like China's one of the like most powerful like
Okay, so
economic leaders.
are you gonna go into how sharks are sort of endangered?
Yeah.
So they want to make it look like they're getting rid of a problem instead of dominating a species.
The other thing is like China's pretty powerful. Like it's a powerful global economy right now, and China's got a lot of influence on the world.
Yeah.
And in Chinese culture, sharks are really bad.
Mhm.
They eat shark fin soup there. They believe that shark bones are like have healing properties when like scientifically there's nothing really good about sharks.
So you mean the way
like eating them and
the way they treat sharks is bad, but they hold sharks highly, right?
sort of like they view sharks as just like something that should be killed.
Yeah, obviously, but like the soup is still like expensive, like it's still like
Yeah.
a luxury.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said about the bones with healing properties,
Yeah.
they still sort of like believe them to have some sort of power.
Mm-hmm. So like anyway, their like culture says like it's a good thing to kill sharks.
Yeah.
And I think because they have so much influence on the world, that's why there's so much media based around like sharks being bad.
Why China has so much influence on the world?
Yeah. So China's sort of like pushing their like, I guess morals and ideas on like just influencing media, so media like pushes that. Because in Chinese culture, it's perfectly fine to kill sharks.
Well,
It's a good thing.
Well, how would they benefit from us being scared of them, though? How does that change anything? Because they're still going to get all the sharks they want.
So like less people like defend them. Because there's like like what's the right word?
Or like I said earlier, people just sort of feel less bad when sharks die.
Yeah.
Because they see them as
people
like a
try to
threat.
fight it less. People like
yeah, they see them as like a threat instead of just like a species that should be left alone.
Like there's like other countries are like putting in protocols to like defend sharks and make sure like fishers can't get to these areas where sharks live.
Yeah.
And if everyone's terrified of sharks, people are gonna like vote against regulations that protect sharks. If everyone just wants them gone.
Yeah. When you think about it, there really isn't any species out there. Like I'm not take humans out of this. But there aren't many species out there that I can think of that are just good or bad. You know what I mean? Like they might be dangerous to us, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad.
Yeah.
They're all sort of neutral, and they can just sort of be in good or bad situations. If they're in their right environments and you fucking leave them alone, they'll leave you alone too. Like you're fine.
There's like a lot of species of shark.
Unless it's a lion, but continue.
Yeah, there's a lot of species of shark that like barely hurt people. It's like I said about the Shark Week thing.
Yeah.
3 of the top 10 deadliest sharks had never killed someone, and then the next 3 had like under 5 kills. But this is like recorded throughout the entirety of human history.
Yeah, it's fucking nothing.
Yeah, that is diddly squat.
Stairs have killed more than that.
Yeah, like things like like dogs kill more people in a year than like all of sharks up to the top 3 deadliest.
I hate to say this quote again today, but sharks have the statistical advantage of not being where we are pretty much all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, that does, obviously that does help.
Yeah. That's why the kills are so. That's a big reason why the kills are so low.
Yeah.
But I think like anything, they still need a reason to kill.
Because they mistake you for a seal. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's why like sharks don't devour people. They bite them and then spit them out and leave them alone.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask, because I didn't know. Do sharks actually eat people if they kill them?
No, never.
Yeah, they don't devour them.
I don't think ever. Like
So,
they'll
like-
bite you and then leave.
So what would their real motive be besides they just want you to fucking leave them alone, or like they mistake you for something else?
It's
you know what I mean?
90%. It's just they mistake you for food.
For
They'll
actual-
bite you.
yeah.
You will not taste like food, so they'll spit you out or just spit out whatever piece of you they bite off.
Yeah, and then you just bleed to death in the water.
Yeah.
But
or like the bite's enough that it, like if a great white bites you, it's just such a large mouth and such a powerful jaw that it can kill you instantly in one bite.
yeah.
So like I agree they're dangerous, but like just don't be a fucking idiot.
I guess we could spin it off to this. On another segment of the podcast, my good friend Josh was talking about dolphins,
Mm-hmm.
and dolphin torture.
Yeah.
About how like dolphins will like just toy and like torture with their prey just because it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting how we view dolphins in like mainstream society and media, and like how we view a shark, where it's like I have never heard of a shark doing anything to be that devious.
Yeah. It's like I
But like
saw a
dolphins
video.
are like the big cute fishies that jump around and make noises.
I saw a video of a dolphin using the corpse of a fish it just killed to masturbate. Like it was rubbing its dick against this thing to come. And, like,
people always like
That
to
is
talk about
pretty disturbing.
yeah people
and
like to
sharks
talk
don't
about
do
how
that.
yeah people like to talk about how intelligent dolphins are all the time.
Yeah.
So-
Well, they're smart enough to do things like that.
Yeah. They know what feels good.
Intelligence isn't always like a good thing. Sometimes intelligence can lead to
And it really just gives you the tools to do, grander things.
yeah,
But
good or bad.
it can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you the tools to do them, which is sort of why I feel like, I don't know, like, one of the arguments I've heard, I'm not going to get into this topic too much, one of the arguments I've heard for, like, veganism or, like, vegetarianism is people sort of go, like, if a lion's out in the wild and it sees something that it needs to eat or wants to eat, it doesn't think about if it should or shouldn't kill, it just eats it. Like, why don't you? And, like, my response to that is just sort of like, I have been gifted with the higher thinking that the lion doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually understand that the animal I'm killing doesn't need to die. There's other things I can eat. Like, yes, I'm an omnivore and I need to eat meat, but I can still be selective in which meat I eat.
Yeah.
And which animals die by my hand, at least, I guess. So it's like, just because I don't need to doesn't mean I shouldn't. Like, if I have the tools to, at least for me, I think it's right to. But yeah, that just goes into consciousnness and
I guess.
higher thinking.
I do have a kind of disagree with you on that.
Okay. Wow.
Where like, I just find like all forms of life can be fascinating and beautiful. So like, how is it like morally wrong to eat chicken or pork, but it isn't morally wrong to like eat plants?
Yeah, because I know what you're saying. The plants
Yeah.
are still dying too.
Yeah, they're
'Cause-
still living things, and they still,
Yeah.
if anything, plants do more for us.
Yeah. The
Because
first thing
plants produce oxygen.
the first thing I
Well,
usually
others,
say
yeah.
when talking about this topic is that if you are going to live on this earth, things are going to die.
Yeah.
And the only way to have that not happen is to just kill yourself, because the
Mhm.
more you live, the more things die because you need to live. Pretty much, I understand what you mean, but what I say by being selective in what I
Yeah.
eat is more of, like, pork is just straight up not good for me. It's just bad for me. Like, there are some benefits to it, but at least to eating a lot of pork, it is not good to eat a lot of pork, and you would agree with that.
Yes.
Same as beef. So I sort of see it as, like, because I have the ability to think about it and I have higher thinking and I have the power to actually understand what this meat and like what this substance does to my body and how it affects me, and which a lion doesn't have.
Yeah.
It just craves it and fucking eats it because it's a lion. Since I have those tools, I can be selective and go, okay, this stuff is bad for me, so I don't want this to die at my hand, and if this is also being dominated by humans, I am going to eat this instead. And the whole thing with like plants and animals, I know what you're saying about how if they're gonna die anyways, they're still living things.
Mm-hmm.
But I just accept that because, like I said, if I don't want to kill myself, then things are gonna die.
Yeah.
But the obvious argument to the whole plant thing is just like the pain receptors argument, which you've obviously heard before,
Mm-hmm.
which is just that. Well, obviously I guess it's biased, as if you hold like a horse down, and tranquilize it and slowly kill it and chop it up and stuff, you can actually see like the pain in its eyes. Whereas like with the plant, even if it feels pain, it's like you can't relate to it as much because it's harder to wrap your head around how like a plant is a living thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it breathes and it produces and it grows and everything like a living thing. It matures and evolves. But it's harder to wrap your head around like how it feels pain. You don't like feel as bad for it when you don't water it than if you didn't feed your dog.
Yeah.
Because there's just that like missing connection or like relation there. But I would say the biggest thing for sure is that I would, even though like most industries are gross in the way that they give us food, I would rather support the industries that give me. If I had to support one, I would rather support the ones that give me lettuce and tomatoes and vegetables than the ones that kill the animals and give them to me, even though I still eat chicken and fish and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just right now avoiding pork and beef because I don't think they're good for me. And I just want to give less money
Yeah.
to the people who kill them, honestly. That's really the only difference I can make by myself, is to just not give them money. We talked about that for way too long.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's fine.
All right.
This is just a podcast where we talk about our like opinions, thoughts on things. So
yeah, honestly,
it's completely fine for us to talk about our thoughts on this.
Veganism is one of my favorite topics to talk about for sure. But
it's a very interesting one.